talk more intimately then. All right, who's super busy right now? Kind of, or is the kind of the right amount?
The right amount.
Right amount.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Who feels overwhelmed? Like crazy overwhelmed? A couple weeks ago. Yeah, it kind of goes in waves sometimes. Yeah. Who feels like, okay, not enough? Okay.
I'm like here.
Okay.
I needed to go back up here.
Okay. I want to hit that in a minute, actually, because that's actually, I think we all go through that. Like this week is nuts, the next week is like here, the next week, a couple weeks is nuts.
Bringing you down.
Yeah, and then how do we handle that? All right. So kind of thought process for this month was given that, obviously this is one of our busiest months. Either we're going to put people under contract or we've just put a bunch of people under contract. We're working through all that. So this is like our go time, kind of the month of June. That's why I thought about the things during your go time that can help things go smoothly or maybe not so smoothly is obviously how do we manage the calendar, which really is like encompassing our entire lives beyond just business, because we have other things that somehow we're weaving business in the middle of all of that. And then of course your client's expectations, which is everything. So where do y'all want to start? Who says this is the thing I want to talk about the most first? The calendar or tips on expectations? Which way we want to go first? Calendar. Okay. So this I want everyone to kind of like share what their tips. We'll talk about even some tips. Maybe I've gone through myself. Talking about managing your calendar, like briefly we said, some people are just right. Some people maybe a little overwhelmed or was. Some people would like a little more. Tell me of a time where you felt like you managed, like you just go, this is just great. I managed my calendar well, business is going well. I felt like, yeah, personal life was okay too, but wasn't, I didn't feel like I was not having a personal life. Or I had all personal life and no business life, like kind of that sweet spot. Like, can someone willing to share about a sweet spot moment and more or less talk about how did it come about? You know what I'm talking about? Has anyone had that sweet spot?
I haven't had that.
No, it's that sweet
It's
spot.
always either crazy or nothing.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Crazy or nothing.
It just kind of depends for me, because sometimes I'll kind of put it out there of like, hey, it's not that I don't work every weekend, or I do. It's just I work when there's opportunity. And there's sometimes where if there's a client that needs a little bit less hand-holding, and I'm already working with somebody else that's either a higher profile client or needs a little bit more hand-holding, I'll leverage one of my other people that's in my network to help out as a showing assistant or something like that.
Okay.
In that capacity.
So you kind of work when there's opportunity. All right. I think a lot of us do that, and obviously you have to. Mm-hmm. So also managing your calendar. So we're going to dig into that a little bit more. Get a couple more bullet points on here. Crazy sometimes, quiet the next week. Is that an okay rhythm? Or is that the best we can expect?
I think it's normal.
Is it normal?
That's how this business is.
That's life.
It's life.
Yeah.
As an individual agent. I mean, if you had a staff of people below you, you could tell them you do this, but it's life.
Yeah. And
Kind of what I came to the conclusion.
it's life. I agree. Because I think everything is about what? Balance and counterbalance. Right?
Yep.
Because there's let's be honest, I mean, and I don't even know if this is healthy, but it's certainly not life. Can we work 8 hours one day, get 8 hours of just chilling out and family time and having fun, and then 8 hours of sleep, and do that every single day?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, honestly, and some of us, I go, that would kind of be boring. I kind of like the thrill of something. For some of us who are weird, like people like me who are weird. So, but yeah, life is about balance and counterbalance, right? A little bit. So over time, we maybe have that crunch 2 weeks, as you mentioned. Maybe we'll get you to explore this, Katie. business is like really, really busy, and then therefore maybe you have like the next week it seems quiet. How do you handle that when that happens? Like, is that kind of the case for a lot of folks?
Yes.
Mine was like a crazy 2 months, and
Okay.
I felt like I was servicing so much and not lead gen.
Yeah.
So June and July do not look like anything like what April and May were like, and so I'm very nervous about that right now. And I finally decided I do need to not burn out and take a vacation, so I bought a flight, which actually means I'm going to have to go on this because I can't.
Yeah.
I can't undo it now. So I actually finally took a vacation, or am going to take a vacation, whereas in May, I wound up not taking two.
Right.
Too many ones.
Right. Right.
But now I'm even more nervous about June and July being not as strong as the last two.
Okay.
Help.
Does like managing that, does that resonate with everyone?
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think the slow weeks are hard.
The slow
Like-
weeks are harder.
Yeah,
mindset.
because like the busy weeks you're excited, the energy is high because you just have so much going on and you don't really have time to think about not having business or whatever because it's all there and happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go from that and then to a week where it's like, whoa, now I got to get back to finding more people and stuff. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little depressing.
Depressing.
Not depressing, but like, it's just a mindset shift.
Mindset.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You're working on mindset all the time, and I still haven't put in steps for leveraging, so managing my calendar and feeling like life gets in the way, you know. But I have a different situation with my family, but like, it's just, I haven't found the balance, so I'm happy to hear how people find balance.
Yeah. Okay. Like, what would be if we could paint? Now, again, we're not going to have 8 hours. We're working 8 hours of family and fun time, and our personal recreation and good 8 hours sleep. Like we get maybe one of those the entire year, and it could possibly be Christmas. But then Christmas is like nuts itself. So, but if you were to describe what would make you feel satisfied throughout the week, what would that look like? Or what have you done and you walk away and go, you know what, overall, I had some crazy long days and some nice, overall, what did you do, what made it that way? And what would make you feel satisfied?
So
Yes,
I feel that leveraging somebody doing the listing, as well as contracted
Okay.
jobs, is till you're able to hire a full-time assistant, because not everyone is able to. That was one of the best decisions I've made.
Yes. Yes.
And I didn't realize what a control freak and how I was actually slowing me down by doing that 80% of the work.
Right. Right.
So that's been life-changing for me.
Okay, life-changing leveraging. Yes, Denise.
Getting older has been life-changing for me in one way. I do not want to do the minutia.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely not. And I mean, my favorite week is if I'm doing business Monday through Thursday, and then maybe a client on the weekend. But I'm somebody not to listen to. But maybe not, because I have priorities as far as my sport that I do. But if you don't have your health, you have nothing. So I don't know. I just don't want to work 80 hours a week. I probably could do well if I did. But I also like how I deal with my clients has gotten more concise.
Right.
So
Working smarter.
I don't working smarter. I just don't let them be a time drain. But then I'm probably attracting clients that are not time drains.
Right. I actually think there's a true statement in that.
Yeah.
Like if you're very purposeful with how you set your schedule, manage your clients, I actually think that those type of clients actually know that about you and appreciate that about you and will choose to work with you as well. And we're always going to have, I have clients that every year they go, oh, I think this could be the year I'm going to, I've bought sold with them before. They're like, hey, this year I think we're going to buy again. And then they're like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, again, okay, I think it'll be this year. We always have those I call them seed clients. They're going to be great, loyal to you, but we just don't know. It could be 5 years from now when they do something. But I actually am in agreement with you that like efficient people seek out other efficient people. But the world is not all about, like, we don't always have efficient people in this world. So, you know. All right, talk about, I know Drew's mentioned as an individual agent, you know, obviously you have everything on your plate. How, like, do you mind sharing, like, how you've been able to manage? Because you actually, I mean, you have a great business, so.
So kind of the mantra that goes through my mind is that sellers cost money, buyers cost time.
Yes.
But I can manage buyers. Buyers are on my timetable, I find, other than this afternoon where I got to run in 15 minutes. But normally they're under my control and I can manage the time. Whereas I find sellers swing from, you know, being moderately nervous to in a panic mode fairly quickly.
Yes.
And I'm at demand, and I'm constantly, well, not constantly, but I need to make a regular intentional effort to keep them away from the ledge.
Right.
And you know, I mean, I got one. I've been, you know, they're stressed out. They've had their home on the market for 2.5 weeks, and we don't have a contract. And I'm like,
that's normal.
just calm down.
Yeah.
You're a little spot, but you know, they get on there with their friends or whoever, and oh man, I sold my house in 2.5 seconds, and you know, and they're like, what's wrong with you? You haven't sold my house yet. And so I just got out and talk about not managing. My youngest daughter got married this last weekend, so I was we're out of. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
But I mean, it just puts you way back
Yeah.
behind, because you know, you just got to tell them, look, I'm not going to be able to do much with you this week.
Right.
I'm going to have to go where I'm told. So,
Right.
so you know, that's kind of you know, you do the best you can. I try to give them here's where I'm going to be the next month.
Mm-hmm.
So let's plan accordingly, because I like to be there. You know, you're paying me to be your eyes when I walk into it. I don't want to pay a showing person because they look at a house differently and they just want the 25 or 50 or $100 and get out. But I want you to have a great house.
How did your clients respond to that? Like when you, because we all have that. Like
Well,
we all have. And
I haven't
yours-
had anybody fire me when I say it.
Okay.
You know,
Wait,
I
when
mean,
you
usually
say-
they like, and that's what they're hiring me for. They're saying
Right.
you've been around the block quite a few times, so that's why we want you.
Okay. So that's actually, yeah, so when you have to tell them, because we do, sometimes I'm out of town and you're choosing to make sure you're there. I'm just making sure it's off, it is. How, like, I guess this, do you feel like did anyone feel like they lost opportunity because of your schedule? Any clients?
No, at the end of the day, most of them don't.
Okay.
Now, but you know, so buyers are always petrified that the house that they think they love is going to go away.
Right.
Always petrified. And the seller is like, I got to get on the market this weekend, or we're going to lose another weekend, and it's summertime, and we got to get it going. And so it takes a little bit to calm them down, and we'll be fine. Don't worry about it. There's always another deal. So.
And honestly, that's why I think these two go together, because your client's expectations, if we don't manage our calendar well, their expectations manage our calendar well. And again, it's never like, if I'm going to be a customer service oriented, you know, agent, it's not realistic to think every single moment that the client is going to fall in line with my schedule. You know, it's just, I can't control when their dream home comes on the market, you know. But if I can manage this, it helps me manage this. If I understand this about my life a little bit, you know, because I don't ever think we're going to get perfection at all. So then I can maybe help them with this. Is that about an accurate statement there? Is it accurate?
Yeah, you know, the more time you can spend at the upfront, you know, when I'm doing my buyer interview, I'm just like, okay. I mean, and that was perhaps the best thing I ever instituted as a must is a buyer interview.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I tell them this is how much, this is what it's going to take, and this is the kind of timetable you should expect.
Right.
And they're usually real happy with that, because like I say, they're all on Zillow and they're all on Trulia and they're all looking at that stuff all the time. And some of them are looking at 3 a.m. in the morning. I get an email at 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, go to bed. You need to get some sleep.
Yeah.
They get addicted, I feel like.
Oh, it is because it's all consuming.
They're all consumed with it. I mean, they're in a lot of cases they're terminating a lease with an apartment. And so they're nervous themselves.
And if they have a family, they're thinking, okay, I got to put my kid in this school, and then they got summer camp, and they got this, and they're trying to manage 20 other schedules, and yeah. So what kind of scripts do you use? Okay, buyer interview, is that the same thing as consultation?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of scripts do you use during your consultation?
So I like to try to put it back on them right away that you need to come to this pre-approved.
Yeah.
Let's not even go do anything till you know that you can buy the house that you fall in love with.
Right.
Then I tell them, if we do this right, you're going to look at probably a half dozen houses to see what your market is, and then after that, you know what your money can buy. After if we look at 20 and you still don't know what you can buy, we're not doing our job right.
Correct.
But you look at a half dozen, you know what it is, and we'll probably look at somewhere between that half dozen and a dozen.
So 6 to 12. That's actually about where we are too.
You're saying you don't go out to show properties until they're pre-approved?
So I know
Absolutely.
they're pre-approved.
Um,
I tell them, I don't. There's no point to it. You'll fall in love with it, and you can't buy it. And trust me, you're going to have $1,000 into this thing, and you're going to be upset when you can't buy it. So get yourself pre-approved.
And then nothing else compares.
Right. They can go back
Like,
to that
of course.
property.
Oh yeah, I said that one of the factors is the really great house is going to be $25,000 to $50,000 more than you can spend. So don't even go look at it. Just don't even look at it.
So if we set a client expectation, obviously pre-approval, if it's buyers, we're talking buyers right now, pre-approval, and then at the consultation you speak of that my whole job is to really find the right home for you. That's why you hired me. And I actually love that phrase. This is why you hired me. Because I'm bringing them along to come into agreement. The more we can find agreement, the more I'm managing expectations, and the smoother it goes. They're nodding with me, going, yes, this is why you hired me. I'm here to help you find the home based on asking you the right questions, getting you to explain to me what's important to you, and I'm here to help research this. This is why you hired me. We say that phrase over. So showing 6 to 12 homes. That, if you can show 6 to 12 homes, one, you're not overloading anybody's brain, but then what does that do? It helps manage your calendar, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, buyers I can manage. I'm in control of that.
Yeah.
So I can, if I add more buyers, it's not that big a stress.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk sellers then, since we just mentioned buyers. How are we managing both on both sides? Sellers, because you're right. Your sellers are different, very different. Yes, yeah.
The one thing I always tell them on Monday, I'm going to email you or ask them if they want to be emailed, text, or whatever. I'm going to reach out to you on Monday and tell you how the weekend showings went and any feedback. So tell them in advance that you're going to contact them at, and even maybe make a time, do you want morning or afternoon? Unless we got a contract that week, I'm just going to touch base with you once a week at this time.
Okay. Scheduling it.
I'm going to have to run it a second,
Yes.
but I do have a script, and you guys can yell at
Yes.
me if you think it doesn't work. But you have the people that, within seconds of the showing, they're calling. What they say.
Oh my gosh.
And so the way I put them off is I say, look, the only feedback we really want is here's an offer. Everything else is negotiation, and they're trying to push your price down. So don't get your brain infected by all that. Just all we want is an offer.
Yeah.
And that kind of quiets them down on the what they say, why they're not buying it thing. Don't worry about it. All I want's an offer.
And then I think that's good, because the other way of saying it is also like the if they haven't brought me an offer, that is the feedback.
That's the only feedback you would need.
If they didn't bring me an offer, not calling me saying, hey, I'm bringing you an offer, that is the feedback, at least for today, yes.
I tell sellers that agents are showing, they're in their car,
Yes.
they're rushing around, they have 3 or 4, however many, and I tell sellers up front, I will not chase an agent down right after a showing,
Right.
period. I will do it the next day or, when convenient. And I don't chase down feedback unless there's an issue or something that I want the seller to know about, a floor plan issue, stuff like that.
Yeah. When do you tell your seller that you're not going to call the buyer's agent immediately after showing? Like, what part of, like, you met them, you got the listing agreement, now you're on the market, like, what, in that chunk of time, when do you tell them?
Soon, I think, it depends if it's going to sell quickly and you know whether it's going to sell quickly.
Yeah.
Then I'm really setting it up. Like, I had a little condo that sold in like 2 minutes. I had 5 offers. I set it up, told the seller, I said, I want you gone for 2 days at your office because we're going to sell this in 2 days. But otherwise, I tell them pretty much up front when I'm taking the listing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you tell them up front? Yes, great.
So
Peachtree.
I also do the routine follow-up, only mine's on Tuesdays to set, instead of Mondays, to
Yes.
set the expectation of it takes time to get the feedback. My update day is Tuesday because you might, even if you're calling everybody on Monday, you might not be hearing back. And so I just explained to them, look, I follow up with every agent that shows your home. On Tuesday, you will find out how many showings did we have and what is the feedback. Some agents are not going to respond to feedback. I don't say I'm not calling them with an arrow. I'm going to say, and you will hear from me on Tuesdays about that. And also try to set the expectation because I do open houses and I'll have some clients that are blowing you up at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And I'll think, really? Because I just worked 4 hours on your open house and you think it's Sunday. I told you you'd hear from me to try to get all that ahead of time. Like, if there's something else that I need from you or we have an offer, you will hear from me. I mean, I do leave the door open, like, if you need something, reach out to me. But they're all kind of understand, like, you want to know feedback, you want to know the showings. Tuesday's your day, and you will hear from me on Tuesday. And once we're under contract, you're still going to get a, okay, this week the appraisal's on Thursday, and here's where the loan is at. And, you'll still hear from me always on Tuesdays, probably more than just Tuesday.
And so what does that, setting the expectation Tuesday, I do Tuesday. And the main reason why my Monday, I was already at like 6:30 this morning going nuts, because that's what happens on a Monday,
Yeah.
But Tuesday, I do Tuesday. So when do you tell, like, I guess, let me back this up. So you tell them when, starting from, you met them got the listing agreement, now you're in a contract. When do you tell them?
That it's Tuesdays, it's in the listing presentation.
Okay.
It's even on like I don't think I have necessarily Tuesday written, but even on my like value proposition, you will get weekly, updates, and then I tell them that's Tuesdays. And I don't commit to a certain time on Tuesday, but they know at some point on Tuesday that's.
And by telling them it's Tuesday, how does this affect your calendar?
I know that I need some time on Tuesday to write up. Sometimes I've got a lot of sellers, so sometimes that's a lot of emails going out that day. So I know I got to carve out probably a solid hour sometimes. And if I haven't heard the feedback, I might go and call that list of the few 8 people I haven't heard from, just in case I get a tidbit. And yeah, so I have to time block on Tuesday.
So in this case, obviously yours is Tuesday, and probably some other days too. But do you feel like that has minimized the, how's it going? What's happening? What's happening? Like, does that, by setting this expectation, did it help your calendar?
There was one group of sellers that I have, this one investor I work with, where it didn't matter. They always wanted to know about the open house. They just couldn't accept waiting till Tuesday. So I learned with that one, because it's one of my investors, is a repeat client. Like, as I'm right before I walk out the door, open house went pretty good. Just shoot out a quick text. nothing super detailed, and then that satisfied them because they wanted to hear from me
Yes.
about the open house.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you use
Yes.
showing time at all?
Yes.
I mean, the feedback from showing time. Do you,
Yes.
do you share that with your sellers?
Yes, 100%. And I customize questions a little bit. Because you can.
Yeah.
And I think you have to pay a little bit more if you want to do that, but it's pretty reasonable.
That's why I do all my vacant listings through showing time.
Yes.
Is because it saves half of your,
And agents hate it.
over half the people will go through showing. Mine are, I mean, you can show mine even if you don't use showing time.
Yeah.
But that way that feedback thing comes.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people ignore it, but some people fill it out.
Yeah,
And it saves-
ideally, that's what I use it for, on
Yes.
the listings, whether they're vacant, occupied, whatever. So when agents do, because most agents don't give us feedback on it, I'll shoot it over to the seller immediately, but I'll still have that same follow-up time to say, hey, here's a breakdown of all the feedback we got this week. I sent you a couple of feedback notifications. Did you get those? You know, what did you think about what the agent said, and kind of go over it with them.
Yes.
To just, figure out kind of where we are with it.
So, showing time.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just remember that.
So you have it that the feedback goes to you and then you kind of go through it and then forward on your client, or do you have it automatically go to you and your client as soon as an agent fills it out?
So the way I set up my showing time on my listings, I include my seller so they see showings when they come through,
Yep,
and they also see feedback when it comes through.
yep.
How do you
I
do
think
it?
it's a great, I have the feedback go out immediately.
Mhm.
I have them, they see,
So they're not blowing you up all week because sometimes agents put pretty harsh things, so they're not blowing you up all week. Oh, I just got that, and what's going on? Like that
You just
doesn't.
set the expectation. I just tell my sellers, like, hey, this is not personal. They don't know you. It's
Yeah.
strictly a business transaction. If they have negative things to say about it, we're
well,
gonna move on
then
to the
I
next
see
one.
it too, and I can dampen, I can soften that a little bit.
Right.
I can respond to that. And that's a moment, that night I'm gonna respond to that email, just going, hey, here's my commentary on it, blah, blah, blah. They didn't like, your furniture. Well, we're not selling your furniture, whatever. I can soften that. But the reason why I do it, and I'm not saying I do it the right way, I'm just saying this is what I do, is that it feels quiet, like when your house is on the market and you have like everything's perfect all the time, it has to be the pressure to have everything perfect all the time if you live in it, or if it's a vacant for the investor, every day it's cha-ching, it's another dollar out of their pockets. It, like, the days feel long.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can remember that, buyers too, but sellers, the days feel extremely long. And because I can't, and not that I don't want to, I don't necessarily have the time to talk to them on a daily basis. At least if they got the feedback, it felt like a touch that day. That came from me, a touch. So Brandon, you're about to say something.
Yeah, I just had a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys set it up so that your seller controls accepting and denying
Most of the time I do.
appointments?
Even on vacant homes.
No. Vacant is auto approval.
Yeah, not all my
Right.
vacants are go
But on
show.
occupied homes,
Yeah.
so that you don't
Yes.
have to deal with that liaison.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And tenant occupied properties as well.
Yes, I want them to manage their calendar.
And do you know what else I do? Is I tell them, my occupied people, like, this is for you. This system is for you, so you can easily accept. And then I tell them, if someone sends in a request and that time and day doesn't work for you, don't decline it. Text me with an alternate
Yes.
day and
Thank you.
time.
Say that
Okay,
again.
that's really good.
That's
And
good.
I will reach out to the agent to make alternate arrangements. We don't ever want them to feel like it's a no, it's a how about this instead. And then I also say, if you have a day, Bree, I'm out of the house all day, but I'm in this work meeting where I can't accept those requests.
Right.
Let me know in the morning and I'll accept the requests for you.
Yep.
Okay.
So that is excellent.
Yeah, that's really
By
good.
the way,
Yeah.
that is excellent. So it really is. Because I had that too, like we have a client that has twins and a toddler. And she's trying to manage it all, and she's like, I just can't do stuff. And we did the same thing. She texts me, and I call the agent, hey, can I explain the scenario? Can we make it 30 minutes a little later? Blah, blah, blah. And that's far better than the no. Because you hear a no, I'm like, done. I'm not even going to see this. I'll move on.
So what do you
Yeah.
do when you have a renter and you're trying to sell a property and they need 2 hours notice?
That's the best notice I've seen with
Yeah,
a renter.
that's
Normally it's
true.
24. 2 hours is amazing.
Oh my gosh, I've seen like 48 to 72
Yeah.
hours.
Mhm.
So
I try to get my sellers to get rid of the tenant before we do. That's funny.
tenants do make things harder sometimes.
Someone did recommend something about a tenant the other day. They told me they've done it before where to have their tenant cooperate with them. They'll okay, at the end of the month, if you've cooperated with all our showings and it's been easy,
Yeah.
we'll give you
Yes.
$100.
Yeah.
We'll give you $200.
I'm a big fan of giving the tenant some kind of a financial incentive to keep the house looking good, make showings available. I tell our sellers that. Yeah, it really is, and it's.
Okay. What is your incentive? Because I have a situation.
There's no reward.
We
for
talked to
them.
the seller to reduce the rent, because there's no reward for them to keep the house nice.
I've done that before too.
Reduce their rent for the time that we're on the market. And if it's not in showing condition, then that's probably then there's a penalty, but we know you're gonna keep it in showing condition, I'm gonna reduce the rent.
Okay.
We said
It's
pay them at
an
the end of the
inconvenience.
month, like send them a check at the end of the month. So I don't know how your clients do it, where they just reduce it up front or wait until the end of the month.
Get the house key.
That's actually good, we've always done it up front, but I like.
Because they were saying wait until the end of the month and then just send them a
But-
check for
Yeah.
Kenny,
like.
what about getting the house clean? Having a housekeeper go in?
I believe in having housekeepers come in during homes on the market in general,
No, in a rental situation, would you then?
always,
Mhm.
and monthly, if not every couple of weeks or weekly. So, all right, going back to managing clients' expectations. Let's go back. We talked about managing calendar. So, what else is stressful to you? Okay, when do you feel like I had not managed my calendar well? Think of some time, and like, what could have been the cause as to why your calendar didn't manage as well as you had hoped for?
Me.
Me. Okay, expand on that.
So, one, not putting everything in my calendar. Beginning that stuff was supposed to go this way and this day. That's the first thing, and then secondly, not sticking to it.
Okay, so you've overbooked, right?
Overbooked or didn't book.
Okay. Don't put everything in your calendar, or don't, or didn't. Actually, I'll put both,
Yeah, that's probably best.
because it's both sometimes. Sometimes, what calendar system do y'all use?
Calendar on my phone.
I love this so hard.
I use paper
So
and
yeah,
phone.
I do my phone calendar with alerts and
Like Gmail?
Mhm.
Like
And
a
then
Google Calendar or Apple Calendar?
Yep,
Okay,
it has to be there.
okay. And then paper too.
Yeah.
How else
Since
do you-
I've totally gone on phone, but ever since Gary Keller has been saying you need paper too, so I've started doing that and it's actually helped.
Yeah,
I do a time plan every night.
you do a time plan. Okay, can you explain how you do that?
You said a time planner, I'm sorry.
I just have these pads of paper, and when I'm sitting in bed in the evening, I'll write it out, and it's just so simple and so generic, and then I keep the old ones rubber band. But what I really do time planning on is lead gen.
Okay.
Leads is like the most important thing, because that's where lengthy client conversations will eat into that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I'm doing and what time block. So I'm doing time blocking.
So really you just, before you go to bed at night, you kind of look through what you need to do tomorrow.
Prioritize what I need to
You
do.
prioritize. Okay,
And time block. I don't know, it works well.
okay. So prioritize. Who does something similar? We're going to talk about this in a minute, like how to plan the successful plan of the day. So Katie does it. Okay. Going back to what you said, or you don't put everything on your calendar. Who gets like the all the due diligence expiration dates, the financing contingency expiration dates, appraisal expiration dates? Like how do you all manage that?
My closing coordinator.
closing
puts it on my
coordinator
calendar.
She puts on her calendar. She puts on her calendar. Okay, good. So
I
that's what
get her
I'm saying.
alert 2 days before it's about to expire.
Perfectly, because that's what I say. If you're not having that on your calendar, like where it's visible, and you can see at the top, due diligence, this property address, like that way you pull up your month every single month, and you can see right there. These are all these dates that are expiring, all these properties and such. And then
And
you
they're
can
all
plan
color
that.
coded. They're a certain color.
Okay, you do through color coding. Okay, awesome. So how does that help here?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because it not only goes to me, but it goes to the listing agent. I mean, the other co-op agent as well.
Okay, they send it to the co-op agent. Okay. How about to your client?
You know what? No, we haven't. Well, she doesn't send the calendar invite, but she sends a timeline to the clients and to the closing attorney and to the listing agent.
So send the important dates. So, who else does the important dates immediately upon going to everyone? Okay, awesome. So, how about, okay, let's talk about this though. You said you didn't put it on the calendar. Let's talk about, like, don't put everything on your calendar. Like, what did you mean by that statement?
Well, I don't do that anymore. I started losing too many deals, not putting it on my calendar.
Okay, or who overloaded their calendar?
Oh, yeah.
Overload your calendar? Lisa, were you about to say something? Okay. So, does anybody have time, talk about time blocking, just open, do you actually have in your calendar, open free space?
You said, do we have it on our calendar?
Free time? What is that?
And I don't mean play, so we should have on our calendar our playtime, you know, our fun time, our family time, our friends time. But I'm just talking about like not having like, okay, at 1 o'clock I'm gonna have to, like, I'm returning sellers calls, at 2 o'clock I'm doing this, at 3 o'clock I'm doing this. You just have a chunk that says between 1 and 4. Then you have nothing on it. You know you have tasks to do. But does anyone have it, like, I call it like, you know, it's kind of like white space. You will fill it.
No, I try not to have any white space.
Try not, okay? Is that, expand on, is that good, or how's that?
So the only days I have white space on are like Sundays, because that's my off day. Typically my open houses are going to be on Saturday, so I try to have at least a day and a half off a week. Well, summertime, day and a half off. So if I have white space, it means I'm supposed to not do anything.
So white space means to you this is time off. Okay. Definitely. We need to have white space time off. I'm speaking of like.
No, like my afternoon is white space if I don't have
For work.
appointments. Yeah, for work.
For you to accomplish work.
Yeah, like there's always
Yeah.
stuff to do.
There's always
not
stuff to do.
specific what I'm going to do.
So ideal time blocking is, the ideal is, so that to me is like going back to balance, counterbalance. So you have like your appointments you have to do. So if you have a closing today at noon, you have a closing today at noon. You can't do anything about it. That's your.
Yeah.
If a client wants to meet you today at 4 o'clock to do a buyer's consultation, and that's what you agreed upon, how many of you actually try to suggest the appointment times for clients to meet you, or do you let them tell you?
I tell them what I have available.
Okay. So you can set the client expectation. I actually think that's brilliant, because from day one, I'm going to listen to their schedule, but I'm going to throw out my times, because if we can, I'm setting the expectation that it's going to be a little give and take, that they have to come along on some of our time schedules. Now I will flex towards them because we are always customer service oriented, but then I can put it on my calendar. So if I said today I have 4 o'clock a buyer's consultation, it's, you know, hard appointment. So if I have like the ideal, they always say is, you know, do your 20% in the morning, but I can't always do some of my 20%, which is a buyer's consultation, which is a listing appointment. My listing appointment may be at 6 o'clock tonight. It may not be in the morning. So I have to do balance, counterbalance. So my appointment is a 20% item. So the white space, you leave yours to do the 80% task if you can do it ideally in the afternoon. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who does something like that?
What do you typically fill your white space with, other than?
I'm talking work white space.
Oh, it's work. It's just like, you know, you've got to follow up on older leads, or you have things to do for upcoming listings, or preparing some marketing stuff. It's kind of just all the stuff that's too
So a lot of
hard
admin
to.
stuff, you think?
Yeah, for me, yes, it's mostly my admin stuff because I don't have an admin.
Or ideal day. Michael, you want to talk about ideal day? Can you on the spot?
You can just start to finish what the day looks like.
Yeah, if you're ideal, now again, your buyers are not going to follow, or your seller's not going to follow your schedule all the time. Like, yes, wouldn't it be great if all of our buyers consultations are at like, you know, 10, 11 o'clock, and then therefore by noon we can go get lunch, and then we can actually go work on other stuff, and then we don't have to do late night appointments, and, you know, wouldn't that all be lovely? But if you could, like, wake up in the morning, what's the ideal? If we could, and kind of, I know because we went through this a little bit, but our team has gone through, like, what is ideal? If we can know, kind of go about managing your calendar, if you can kind of know what is ideal, then we can try to manage expectations to bring them this way. It's not always going to work, but if we actually have some clarity, of what the ideal looks like, then we have better, we're much more capable of managing expectations towards the ideal. And then knowing we can flex when it's not possible. So y'all wake up in the morning, you know, go get some coffee, you know, take a shower, maybe go to the gym, maybe do some little quiet time, some reading, just kind of collect your thoughts. And then let's say, what time are we kind of like getting to work? 9. Okay. What else? Who else? What time does some of y'all get to work?
7:38.
Yeah. What's the so what's like the first things, like this is, you know, I can go through what my routine is, but like let's just say before client, like 7:30 to 8 or 8 to 9, what's some of the first things?
Answer email.
Yeah, respond to email and just I do that trick of figuring out everything that I need to do the day before, the night before.
Okay.
Or just the people I need to reach out to. I use that program. I think Alexis did a class on it called Trello.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I run my life off Trello. It's been that good for me. Because I'm a very visual person. I like to see where everything is and who I need to follow up with and whatever else. So I always know who I'm going to be following up with the night before.
Yeah.
So when I'm in here, 7:30, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
But are you calling clients and stuff at 7:38?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely. I'm responding to emails.
Call me before 8, see what happened. Oh.
But sometimes I do have people. The only time that they can talk is at 7:30 in the morning. Usually that's when they're running around.
Michael, what's kind of the ideal? I'm just going to swap this just so I have a clean board for the moment, and then we'll come back.
You want some help?
Yeah, thanks.
What are we doing?
I'm just flipping it into like just the clean side. Ideal day. An ideal day. Let's just say, yes, Denise, real quick.
Well, my ideal day is I have to eat. Like
Yes.
it's non-negotiable.
Yes.
I don't understand anyone that would forego it. I mean, no, blood sugar, you name it, I have to eat.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm sometimes on the phone and doing emails at 8 o'clock because I get up early. But 9 to 3 is my favorite work hours.
Okay.
And then I go work out and then I might do some stuff in the evening.
Later at night. Okay.
Yeah. And then Saturday or Sunday are usually kind of flex.
Right. Okay. That's it. That sounds like I mean, that's probably what I would say is close. So, you know, we have our 80-20, you know, 20, the wrong marker again.
You know, that varies if you're slammed.
Right, 20%, you know, lead gen. Here's our 20% lead gen, consultations, whether it's buyers or sellers. If it's showing or prepping the homes, depends upon if you're buyer or seller. It's then your make, receive offers. That's 20. Obviously closing. And then you can get into, I can put a little bit of this as being the 20. It's just all the, more about client, following up, I'm going to put like client follow-up. And what I mean by that is like, yes, you have to actually call the agent that you're going to go show the homes to. Yes, you actually have to call them, say, hey, this is the feedback, whatever. You know, you got your 80%, you know, like that's obviously the paperwork. This is just like, just becoming familiar with the market. You got, you know, producing your marketing material. You know, you have like, you know, just returning certain emails, client care. So Michael, what's our ideal schedule?
Up around 7:30 or 8. Get yourself going, and then at 9 you've got your 9 to 12 for your 20%, which for us 9 to 10 is kind of making sure Shannon, our admin, is all up to date, knows what's going on, because when she hits lunch at 12:30, then she shifts into her 80%. So we've got to make sure our 20% gets done before noon. It kind of varies by day because like tomorrow we'll have a power hour at 9:30. So that'll be kind of that 20% of our power hour. Then we'll have our call block day. So we'll spend 2 hours between 9 and noon on one day a week doing our call blocks. And then after that, it's like you said, I'll be on FMLS, checking all my client searches, seeing what they've liked, adding it to their carts, emailing to set up showings for the weekend of the week. And then come about 3 or 4, there's usually 1 or 2 clients that want to go look at a townhome or 2. So then with traffic, we're out until about 6:30 or 7, and then go home, do all your follow-up and feedback requests.
So you're doing, this is where we're going. So managing your calendar. So it's more successful, or we found more success if it's like responding to someone's follow-up. That's an 80% task. If I'm the buyer's agent, I'm following up. I think it's nice to do. I try to when I can, follow up that. But that's not my 20. So when I'm doing that, it's usually because I'm like at home watching TV, and I'm like, okay, I'll respond to that, right? That's a down here. That's a later in the day kind of a thing. So if I can manage my client, what's that?
Or even that 8 to 9 before you get your 20 started at 9.
Or in this case, I'll tell you what, I get up early and drink about 3 cups of coffee or whatever I do. I don't even know now. Go make the whole pot and drink half of it. So, but then that being said, you get all these emails. I subscribe to all the news reporter emails. I subscribe to all the Curbed Atlanta. I subscribe to all these. Just get to know what's in the city. Scan through real quickly, see if there's something I need to know, just because that may be relevant to client needs, what's new being built. Just understanding what's going on in Atlanta. That's usually in my case between 7, 8 o'clock. Going through, cleaning out a bunch of junk emails. I don't have to do it. So I am already at 8 o'clock available for client calls now. I hope they don't. Sometimes I just know that's the better time. But at least I'm clearing out my clutter so I can start at 8. And I believe in doing a little market research, to be honest with you. So I may look, you see FMLS like I do at night, everybody's gotten their email update by 6 a.m. the next morning. I may scan through it, I look through all my clients who are on I'm the listing agent. If you're not the listing agent, you don't subscribe yourself to the listings that are in that neighborhood that you're working, you should. So I put myself on my own email auto feed. So I know everything that's going on the market, when it goes on the market, and I know what's going pending. I know, of course, what's the close, and I will know just as fast as my client. Nothing is worse when your client says, hey, did you see that house on the market? And as a matter of fact, I actually sometimes subscribe my sellers to that too. So I see that every single morning, see what came on the market. That's my 7 to 8 a.m. thing. Seeing did you know that Kingsley came through the Dunwoody Reporter that Kingsley is going to be a STEAM school? Science, technology, engineering.
STEM.
No, it's with the A. It's with the A. They have the A.
STEM.
So it's like STEM, but now STEAM.
STEAM.
Doesn't the A stand for, is it and math? Or no? Science, technology, and
No, because when it was that, it was just STEM.
STEM. Science,
Because I used to
technology,
teach it.
engineering,
So
something.
now I'm interested.
What's
STEM.
the A? What's the
Oh, I'm
A?
good.
Art,
I'm talking from high school.
So
No,
high
there's
school.
STEAM. STEAM is a thing.
No, it's a new thing now.
STEAM is
Yeah.
That can't be that.
Fake news.
No, it's a new thing. So anyway,
I'm Googling it, people, everyone calm down.
Okay, she'll tell us what A means. But here's
What
the
does the A
thing, getting that info is maybe,
Yeah.
nice to know. So I got clients that are maybe someday in the Kingsley area, elementary area, but art, I'm just gonna be art. Then you know all that. And then starting,
Obviously,
so
no,
ideal day. You don't have to get up as early as me. But then it's 8 or 9, or maybe, some people it could be a follow up to lead gen. And it could actually go from some people 8 to 10. That's ideal. And then ideal would be let's just say if it's 9, it could be 10 or it could be 11. For us, it's anything that's contractual, time sensitive, or listings, time sensitive. This is time sensitive stuff. And then I can take this, this could even go into 10 to noon. Things anything time sensitive, contracts, listings, anything I have to do that's time sensitive, getting that done. And then making sure by this time I've responded to only time sensitive stuff. And then I get from like noon, you say noon to 1, you actually take a lunch, you know. But then you have 1 p.m. till let's say 6 p.m. I call this work white space. So this is when I am sitting there going through, okay, if I'm actually going to like set up a search for a buyer, this is when I'm doing it. Or if I'm going to like, so if I had a buyer's consultation, now we do things pretty much immediately. So if I do a buyer's consultation, I actually don't think my appointment ends for another hour after my consultation. Because we have follow-up emails we do right away. Because if I show it immediately, like day 1, I set the tone. So if I brought them in, did the consultation, and you know, we're great, we're gonna have a buyer's agreement together, and I already set the expectation, going back to client expectation helps my calendar expectation, next steps with them, before they leave the consultation, I have next steps for them. So immediately, hi Brandon, immediately after a consultation, my mind, if my consultation is from 11 to noon, I actually know it's from 11 to 12:30 in my calendar. So creating that margin, knowing I need a 30-minute, I need that 30 minutes. And this is that white space of getting all that other stuff. And then so like what happens, like managing your calendar is balance, counterbalance. So let's just say I can't change it. I got a client that wants to come in for a consultation at 9. To me, I sometimes like that because then I'm not staying here to 7 p.m., you know? So they came in at 9, that's great. Well, 9 is when I was gonna work on my contracts, listings, any of that kind of stuff. All that does is gets pushed down the hour. And if I can manage my calendar that way, then I can have, and then who's in here like has any bit of I in them? Or a little bit of D, I?
All D, nothing else.
Okay. So it's like, you know, I's are like, oh my God, I can't have like every minute of my life scheduled because I need, you know.
Relaxation time.
I need like, I need
social
to,
time.
Yeah, I need to be able to like breathe a little bit. This is where, if you are that way, it helps. Just to have, you know, you have your priority of tasks that Denise has talked about. You know, you have to get it done. So I know I have to get it done by 6 today, but I can have the flexibility to take a look at that list now. But this is the stuff I have to do. Does anybody have anything like that about how they?
Kelly, have you ever heard of the, I forgot what it's called, but basically it's, you say what are the top 3 things that if you get these done today, it was a successful or productive day. Do you know what that's called, anybody?
But I know what you're saying. There's probably talking a little terminology to all that.
Yeah.
And by the way, anybody using Folio as an add-on to the Gmail?
No, but I did the trial and I loved it.
Yeah, it's just a speed. Yeah. After what? Yeah.
So what else? Let's go back to the calendar. What are the
check
things?
that out too, by the way, for your team. Folio,
Sure.
It breaks it down with all the dates. Each client goes only in that folder. You
Sure.
don't have to manage it then.
So what are the things that actually like is time consuming?
Yeah.
What are the time consuming part of your normal day? What are some time consuming stuff?
Good time consuming or bad time consuming?
Let's just say bad time. They're not bad time. I don't want to say good or bad, but
Okay.
meaning 80% in the 80%, the time consuming necessary, but is time consuming. Like showing houses is necessary. It is time consuming. But let's talk about that. It doesn't matter, good or bad. Showing homes, necessary, time consuming. Michael.
I was just gonna say the client conversations.
Yes.
When you're talking to a buyer and 20 minutes go by in that one conversation.
Okay.
But that's one of those things that's been time consuming lately that I try to do in the afternoon so it's not messing with my 20%. But
So it's not exactly.
because they've got lots of questions, so you got to keep your buyer calm and under control and know where they are in their timeline, which can take a lot more time than you would think.
Right. So do you feel so you mentioned you do it in the afternoon. So do you feel like that also helps you manage your calendar? Is that a correct statement?
Oh yeah. So my clients know from 9 to noon I'm doing something, like you said, that's time sensitive.
Yeah.
So they know that they'll hear from me in the afternoon.
So they know, unless you're calling them because you're lead generating in the morning.
Right.
So does that enhance the quality of life? And does that enhance the quality of client expectations?
Yep. Definitely.
So does anybody else have, that's a system. Just knowing that I will get into these casual conversations more in the afternoon, that's a system. Anybody else have like a system like that?
mean, I just try to make certain phone calls while you're driving to and from other appointments, making that, or sometimes also using that car. Sometimes I'm using the car time for like quick little phone calls. You know, you just need to talk to this person for 5 minutes. You got a 20-minute drive. Or also some of that me time where you can just kind of relax. All right, this time I'm putting on my music. I'm not calling anybody. I'm just getting to my appointment, so I'll be in a good mood and feel a little refreshed as long as the traffic wasn't cut off.
I use short car trips to call my people that love to just chat and chat and chat, because I eventually have to go and do some things, so that's a great excuse. Oh, hey, I just got to the house I'm showing. Love catching up with you. I'll talk to you later.
So you manage your time, I love that. You manage your time and, well, by your talkers, you do it on short car trips.
That's what I call my aunt.
That's what I call my mom.
You can't get off the phone, so you got
That's alright, she'll talk to me 3 more times, you know, so. I love mom stuff.
Because I'm an I, so it's hard for me to cut off a conversation.
Yeah,
but then I'm like,
forced.
yo, I'm done. Like, I'm out. I gotta do something else. So I
go.
just use my car trips now.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is our jobs put us in the car
A lot.
Even if you're primarily a listing agent.
That is so true.
You know, and then in those situations I try to, if someone's wanting me to see a house, my first goal is, if I'm already going to be in the area a day that week, try to see, can we meet that day while I'm already there. I mean, if you can't, you can't, but, you know, try to stack all the people in the same area in the same day.
So trying to stack the area, if you can sit there going, I'm going to be in this area, trying to stack everything the same day, managing your calendar. And then you just tell your clients, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they're usually, okay.
Oh, you want to meet in Decatur? Okay, I'm in Decatur on Thursday and Thursday this week and Monday next week, which is better for you.
And they're usually on board with that.
Yeah, they understand the concept that, you know, I mean, it depends on, you know, especially like since I work with investors, sometimes you're just popping in on the construction site.
Yeah.
You know, and it's client care. It's not, you know, you're not putting up the sign that day. You're not setting the, you know.
Right. You're just making sure all is going well, so there's not a disaster happening in the middle of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's easy. All right, managing client expectations. And what else? What do you guys do to help manage your clients' expectations?
I talk about the quality of life step that I put into I actually haven't written it into a BBA or a listing contract yet, but I talked to them about, hey, here are, you know, some things that you might see whenever we do accept or write an offer. I'm going to respect the fact that you guys have family time and whatever after this point. You know, I'm the same way, and things like that. So I have gotten a phone call at 10 o'clock at night before because my people were freaking out about a really terrible inspection. And I'm like, you're not going to sleep unless I talk to you right now.
Sure.
So like, you know, but other than that, I really try to post 8 p.m. I'm like, is the building on fire? Tomorrow then.
What you're doing there, when you respond to them at 10 p.m., you're managing their expectation.
Right.
Because you're managing that emotions that's going to keep them up all night, staring at the ceiling until 3 in the morning.
It was a bad
like, you know, taking, in this case, it could have been a bad one, but for some people, it's an inspection where, like, the problem was this size, and now it's like in their brain this size.
Yeah.
So how could you do it so you, I mean, we can't control someone freaking out at 10 p.m. We can't control people's emotions. We can only control how we respond to it, how we direct it and guide it. Like, what can we sometimes do in order to keep the emotions in check with clients? Because managing their expectations.
Would you set new time limits on your contingencies?
I put 6 p.m. on all my timelines.
So I mean, if it's, you know, the last day of it, and it's, you know, 5 o'clock, you're not having this whole conversation at 10 o'clock or trying to have a conversation with someone at 10 o'clock about something that you really can't do anything about till the next morning.
So who tells their client when the inspection comes out? And you're right, my inspector sometimes I'll get an inspection at 10 p.m. and I'll see it. Does anyone talk to the inspector like before he sends a report? Yes.
So what I do is I attend the summary of the inspection unless for some reason I can't. So I don't go to the whole home inspection. I let them trust their home inspector as the professional to explain all of that. We set a time, call me. give me a 45-minute heads up to when you're about to be done. Then we have normally, unless there's cameras in the house, then we have the talk in the house. Okay, what are our big, and I explain to them, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna break down, and I sometimes have this part of the talk ahead of time with my buyer book. This is how your home inspection works. There's the deal breakers. There's the medium-sized items, and then there's the little stuff that you will never fix even while you own the home. The goal is to hopefully not have any deal breakers. If we have deal breakers, we're going to deal with them. The majority, there's going to be some medium stuff. There'll be a long list of little things. We're going to focus on the big and work our way down. If there are no big, awesome. Then we're going to, okay, what are the important medium-sized ones? Maybe you throw a few in. We know it's a negotiation. They're going to probably cross some of the stuff off the list. We're going to focus on what's really important so that you get the majority of those. So they already know ahead of time. We're going to be classifying them. Then I discuss with the home inspector, with them present, okay, what were our big ones? And I actually mock up like a draft list of what are the repairs we're going to be asking for, knowing that we're going to wait for the report to come out. We're both going to read the report after that and fine tune the list from there. Also helps me manage my time because now I already have an idea of what's going to be on that amendment. So if I've got some extra spare time, then that next day or so, I might get a draft of the amendment going so that then it's not, okay, we finally have the report, now we finally talk, now I'm typing up this 2-page amendment out. And I always manage my clients' expectations that we will not discuss inspection items over text.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
This is not a time for texting. These are technical things. It will be very confusing to us both and we will end up misunderstanding each other. When it comes to us negotiating inspection items and making our lists, that is email and phone.
That was probably the jewel I picked up for today. Thank you.
I actually have started doing, and it's been working well for me, that I tell them that you get the report the next morning after having done the last summary part of it, that I need you to sit down and think, if you were the seller, what items would you really want fixed? And list them in an item as priority. What is priority and what is not? What is your wish list? Email that to me so that when we talk to each other, we save time, we are on the same page. And they have had to pause and think that should we ask that or not. It has really changed things for me.
So you're asking that, first of all, this is brilliant. Like, first of all, I do want to ask you, when do you have this conversation about, I actually say not just inspection, anything important, like really significant, shouldn't be a text conversation.
That probably comes up before the home inspection or as we're making the list. I also send out a big email, which when we go under contract for my buyers with all the instructions of like, here's all your important dates, here's how we're going to go about things. And I know in my inspection thing, it even says there that we're not going to discuss inspection items in the text. Because, you can't. You really can't. The only people who are basically like contractor to contractor, okay, but they don't know these buyers don't know what they're talking about. They can't. And then if they get really worked up about something, about an item, I always refer them back to someone. Like, I have a lot of experience. I used to renovate homes, but I don't wear that hat as the I let them defer to the home inspector.
Yes, you don't want the liability of being the renovator, real estate agent when you're being real estate agent.
Even though most of the time
you know what it means.
I know what it means.
So this conversation comes up, quite honestly, I actually believe certain important conversations need to come up 2, 3, maybe 4 times throughout the transaction. So, actually we say this, we let them know if the consultation buyer or seller, they'll get updates. We'll probably send things through email, but anything important for us to discuss, like negotiating the contract, inspection items like that, we're going to do it over the phone. And we automatically say, hey, when are you usually available via phone? And can I get you during the day at work? Or we would like to talk during then. I always say, can we do it? We say a consultation. And then again, I think anything important you have to say 3 or 4 times. You just imagine, put yourself in their shoes. They got so much going on in their brain. It's not that they intentionally forget, but they forget because there's brain overload. And then again, when the inspection guy comes and you're like, okay, hey, this, by the way, we're gonna discuss this, reminding them that, you know what, the inspector will probably send the report either that night or the next morning. We'll talk about it the next day after both you and I have the opportunity to read through it, so maybe later in the day, by the time we talk about it, because to me, discussing inspection reports is what I do in my afternoons. You know, unless for some reason I'm on a multiple offer scenario, I've got 7 days to get everything done, and so it's time sensitive. But if I am proactive, we're going to due diligence today, had my inspection on, let's say Wednesday, I still have 14 more days, I will now move it to an afternoon task instead of a morning task because it's less time sensitive. But my 7-day one, I may do it right away in the morning, time sensitive. But like, who sets that expectation? You're gonna get your report the next day. I will read through it first. Actually tell them, I'm gonna read through it first before we can talk. So letting them know, I'm not calling you at 9 a.m. in the morning because you got it at 10 p.m. at night.
Right.
But I will read through it that next day, and I will call you after I read through it. It'll probably be late in the day. Setting that expectation, which helps me manage my calendar so they're not blowing up my phone at 9 a.m. Because this is the biggest thing on their brain when I understand it, and it is for me too, but I got like 4 or 5 others inspections I'm reading that day. Yes, Brent?
I also require my buyers to attend the home inspection.
Absolutely.
And I explain to them, you need to attend the home inspection, because when you get the report a day later, the report is going to be terrifying.
Yes.
And I set that expectation, this report is scary, because it is written to be scary as a negotiating tool to scare the seller.
Yes.
To get what we want out of them.
Oh,
It's not meant to scare you, so don't forget what the inspection was versus the report. Remember how it went, and you have to attend, because if you only read the report and you weren't there at the house, you're going to feel, it's going to scare you. And also, if you send this to family members, they're going to read it, they're going to think the house is a piece of junk, because they weren't there to see what was really going on.
And it'll always say, you know, GFCI outlet is bad, call electrician. And it's like, you know, yes, they're saying that because that is covering the inspector's hiney. But, you know, I could change the GFCI. You know?
I try to minimize that inspection thing.
Yeah.
And not make it scary.
That's why I like the home probe
I
thing.
don't
They
even
send
use those
ATAC the
words.
next day, like the ATAC list.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So, how else do you manage that client's expectations? Therefore, keeping in mind your calendar.
Be proactive about everything.
Be proactive, yeah.
In all your conversations, you know something's coming up.
So who ends their conversation? This is a leading question, so the answer is yes.
The next step is.
Tell them what the next step is.
Or ask what they're, and I always ask if they need anything. And ask them, hey, what are your plans for this, that, and the other, especially my buyers, because if I'm taking one couple out like Wednesday afternoons and one couple out Saturday mornings, but then something comes up Wednesday afternoon and they're both on Saturday, I need to know ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So I always ask them what is going on with their life too.
So if you're your next step is to schedule them to go show. Mm-hmm. So your question is, what does your calendar look like? And I would say Thursday during the day, Friday during the day, or Saturday. We'll go out these days. They tell you, and they go, hey, well, I feel like it'd be best if we go out. So you ask them proactively this day, and you set the expectation, we're going to go out then. So you ask them their availability within the parameters of your availability, correct? Mm-hmm. And then from there, you tell them, okay, great. The next step is, in the meantime, I want you to tell me what you consider your favorite homes by this time, which I always say, if I'm going to go show them on, let's say Saturday, I need it by 2 o'clock on Friday, because I need the rest of the afternoon to schedule my appointments. So I set the expectation of when they need to tell me. And I go, I may throw in a couple or change them around, but set that, and then I show Saturday. And then when I get done with Saturday, what do? Get that, let's just keep it real simple. I just showed, let's say Saturday, 9 to noon, we saw our 6 to 12 homes. That's what all you really need to show. 6 to 12 homes. How do you end? You drop them back off at the house, or you all depart ways. How do you end that conversation?
Oh, will you call me tonight to
so are you thinking they're making an offer?
Yeah.
Okay, so you say call me tonight. How else? That's a possibility.
As I'm going along, I keep asking them to drop, just keep top 2.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not confused by the
Correct.
end of the day. So that when we are done showing those 6 to 8, I say, which one of these 2 do you see yourself making a home?
Okay, so you say the top 2.
On the printout sheets, I write pros and cons because I love to give feedback because I love to receive feedback. So karma. So I'm writing down the pros and cons, and at the end of each house, I ask them to rate 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And if there's a couple that are like 8, 9s, and 10s, I'm always like, well, so was this one better or this one better, so I can keep a running top couple order.
And before you go in your first house, you say we're gonna name each house, so they don't get confused, and we're gonna rate each house. And anything above a 7, hypothetically, you could put an offer on.
Okay.
You're rarely gonna see a 10.
So you set the expectation. I love this. So before you show, set the expectation. There is no 10. You know, we're looking for what, a 7 or an 8, and occasionally if it's a 10, know that we better jump immediately. If it is, and you better be ready to pay probably full or above asking. But you set the expectation. You're looking for what, like on their scale, at least 7 and above.
Maybe 7 and above, you can put an offer on.
That you put an offer on. And then you got done, you found your top 2, like what's next? What's the expectation? Which, if you do that, manages your calendar.
I mean, if they, and I want them to know, like, you know, I can get, what is the information that we might need about your top 2? You know, some people you know are not making it just because it depends. Like in some areas, you better offer on those houses right now.
Yes.
You're out of luck. And in other areas, you might unfortunately, for you as the agent, have time where the house might not disappear. So I always make sure, like, what other information do you need to help you make a decision? If they know they want one, then obviously we're probably just writing it up, or I'm at least making sure I make contact with the agent so that it doesn't get sold out from.
So when you manage your calendar, okay, so like let's use Saturday. You're showing home Saturday, 9 a.m., say like you plan noon, and you've already known you're dropping them off back at their house, which is still a 30-minute drive back to your house or back to the office here. When you have it on your calendar, what do you actually have on your calendar? You have showing 9 to noon, or do you have, I don't really finish my day until 1:30? Right? Or yes, sometimes?
Why? Because you're saying after from 12
So
to
if you,
1:30 you're doing.
like I think we do need to think this through sometimes. Like if I'm going to go pick up Michael from Roswell because I'm going to go show him homes in Alpharetta. I live right here in Brookhaven. So I know if I have to meet him at 9, I'm leaving my house 8:15, 8:20, because it's 40 minutes, even on a Saturday. Maybe it's like 25 on a Saturday.
Yeah, give me 30.
30, but you know, there's road construction every single day, and it's going to change next weekend. You know what they're doing in Atlanta. So I plan not to be late. I'm leaving my house 8:15ish. Get there, pick up Michael. So really, my day didn't start at 9. My day started more like 8:15. Well, quite honestly, I'm already up in the shower and all this stuff, so my day started even earlier. But 8:15, I'm working. So then I go pick up Michael, we go show homes, we're in Alpharetta, I bring him back, we ended around, you know, maybe we finished at 11:45. I said next steps. Now, if I have a personal thing going on, like I cannot change because it's important to me, like I went to this dinner last night, friend's engagement, 4 p.m. Could not do that, that's their time. So I have to know that, so I have that in my calendar, therefore I have to plan that my hard stop time has to end really 2:30, 3 o'clock. Because, and I actually say 2:30 because you know it really means 3. You know, because you know, I don't know if y'all, like I was having email issues, actually heard this on the news that Google servers were down yesterday for a little bit. So I was like, why isn't my Gmail working? You know, and of course it's during that crunch time. But that being said, which therefore I know, because I'm taking my time off before, that I may come home afterwards and finish a couple more things. Or I set that, so I can set that expectation when I left my people. I can say, hey, I will be back in touch tomorrow morning, and let them know and say that. But anyway, going back to the scenario, like even if I show houses 9 to noon, doesn't mean my day ends at noon. Really means I still have to 30-minute drive back to my house. I still do, and you know, I sometimes think, even though it's exhausting, unless I have a hard stop, it's probably better if I just sat there and took another 30 minutes, whether I went back to my house, maybe I go get a something to drink and freshen up for like 10 minutes, but go, okay, do I go ahead and call the agents, do this, start following up, make the offer, or, just knock it all out, and then therefore I really am done by 1:30? And
I mean, if your client wants to make an offer, the sooner the better, unless your schedule doesn't have. But you're right. That makes sense. That if you've got somebody and it's a possible offer thing, you can't think that when the showing window ends. That
Again, it just depends on how the showings went. I mean, I've gone out
they may
plenty
not
of times.
something good.
They're all full
so
duds.
that's where, but I think it's all about managing even your expectations. So if I have actually told myself, even though I'm showing from 9 till noon, that really it's like 8 o'clock until 2 o'clock when I'm finished, then it's like I can manage my schedule going, if I want to go for a hike, in Stone Mountain, I can schedule that at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. 5.
You're not pressed.
I'm not pressed. And then I'm not depressed either, because I'm like, dang, I was like, my Saturday is messing up my fun time, because I had already told myself my day didn't really end until 2, even though I know I left my client at noon. And if I can get that done, and then therefore when I go to plan the rest of my week, then if I work all day Saturday, work all day Sunday stuff, I actually need a little more downtime. When do I actually do that?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
I did it this morning.
Yeah, sometimes it's more, sometimes.
I called expired till 7 yesterday, so I slept in. And
Are you? Yeah.
I do
Then
not. I'm not asking for an apology.
Then I do not feel bad. You're right. You did not feel bad this morning
No.
because you worked all day yesterday, right?
I got here at like 11. It was great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Sometimes if you work all day Saturday, Sunday, you need to do that. Or in this case, if you can't get off because you do have your 9 a.m. commitment, then you cut out at 2 today and just this is I'm done. And then it is true, like if you work listings, it's like I can't always control when someone brings in my offer. But if I can manage my calendar and set that I will respond to them, like if I get in today, an offer in today, I always have that in our case, a 6 p.m. deadline that I can choose based on my calendar if I want to talk to my client tonight, or sometimes I'll probably let them know. I like to usually get offers done pretty quick, but I can set that, we're going to talk tomorrow morning. I may write up this summary, I can get in that conversation if I really can't do it today. All right, what's going on in real life that we all can help each other out on? Like real life scenarios. Any more things on this? Managing calendar, managing your expectations. I think if you could always leave a client telling them what's next, they're not calling you. I feel like it's a lose. For me, I feel like I start to lose trust, credibility with the client when they're calling me first. But when I call them first, I start gaining trust. It's a win, So if I can tell them next, that means I'm calling them first. But anything else on this before we talk about what's going on in real life scenarios? Helpful, not helpful? All right, what's going on? Anybody working through some scenarios that we can help each other out on? Offers, multiple offers, contracts, listings that are driving you nuts, which they could sell? Yeah.
How do you manage on the higher end when you're talking about, showing homes? If I'm sure you've had clients that maybe they want to see 20, 30, 40, how do you kind of manage those situations where maybe taking them on 1 or 2 trips to see 10, 12 houses, they haven't found that dream?
10 houses in one trip?
You can,
No,
on
like
higher
5 or
end,
6.
you
Okay,
can.
I'm saying
You can.
maybe you do 2 trips, 5 and 5.
Oh,
When you define higher end to me, though,
Yeah,
what do you mean by higher
that's
end?
What do you?
I think he means over 12.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean quantity of homes, not
Yeah,
price point.
Correct.
Okay, quantity of homes. All right, great. How do y'all handle that?
All right, so there's a couple of possible issues with that. One, you might be your buyer's consultation, which you are, and you are not using the right criteria, and then that would, don't take this the wrong way, but that's on you.
Yeah.
And you have to fix your buyer consultation to make sure that when you are selecting those first 10 homes, that you're selecting them right. Sometimes buyers lie. Sometimes buyers,
And sometimes they don't know what they want.
I was going to say, they don't
sometimes they
know.
lie, and sometimes they don't know, and sometimes they treat
Or they're
you-
afraid of hurting your feelings, so they
Right.
don't want to tell you the full story.
and tell
Or they're
you-
embarrassed.
tell you
They're
the truth.
embarrassed.
But it's okay to bring up in the buyer's consultation, what scares you the most about buying a home? What is the most stressful idea about this? Try to get the fears and the big objections about the whole concept of buying out in the beginning. That will help lower the number of homes. Now, where your client's looking, right? So in some areas, homes sell right away. So if you're getting to the 20, 30, that first of all took forever, but also it's because you're making offers and they're not putting in strong offers, whatever. That's one issue, right? Now, there are areas of town that have slowed down significantly. And so there's certain pockets, like where I work in, do a lot in Decatur, there are huge amounts of inventory. And it is hard to not show closer to 15 plus homes because the homes do not sell right away. And most people are looking at a range between 2 and 250, and there could be 50 homes for sale between 2 and 250. When your client is looking in those areas, even when you've done a really good, refined buyer's consultation, unless they just fall in love, you're going to end up showing more homes. One of my tricks in some of those scenarios is, I want you to go, we're going to make the list, we're going out Saturday, I need to, you need to drive by everything. Here's the 10 houses, or I normally like to cap it like 7, but say they have a top 10. Go drive by them. See how many survive the drive-by. And a lot of times, a lot of those, especially in certain areas, they just get cut right off, right? So you might even tell them to drive by top 15. And you'll be, and that sometimes cuts your list way down. So sometimes you got first the works on you.
left out something crazy.
Yes. First the works on you for the buyer consultation, then the works on them for the drive-by, but the market is changing, and as inventory loosens in areas, I feel like the reality is you will have to show more homes. You just have to stay on top of everything to make sure that you're showing them the right homes. But once homes don't sell quickly, buyers will get pickier and wait because they can, and it kind of sucks, but. Back in 2008, you had to show 40, 50 homes. If you were lucky. And then they might close on one.
Yeah, we hope not. We hope not.
But
yeah.
I'm sure you have that.
6 to 12 is what I would do. We probably, what are we like? We try not to go more than 12. Maybe I'll let them do. Depends. Maybe 10 more. But I definitely don't want to go more than, even in slow times, more than 20.
Yeah, that's excruciating.
14, yeah.
That gets excruciating.
That's rare. That's very rare. But how do you do it? How would we have that conversation with them? I would probably, if they just, I would find out why it's hard for them to define their terms. That's important, criteria that's important to them. Why is it hard? Are they not familiar with the area? Is it a matter of, if it's a couple, are they not on the same page? And then you may have to, I would dig some more. And sometimes we give them permission. We'll go and see maybe 4 or 5 homes or maybe drive around areas just to go, if I can't get you on the same page, we're going to do a preview time. And that's a short. But the other big lines, the scripts to use is what happens after 3 to 4 hours? Everybody's brain becomes a little mush. We've seen too much. We can't hold that in. And therefore, we really just want to see the best. In order to do it, it's only really about 12 homes. Usually I tell people 10, knowing they're going to make me do 12, but I all along knew, again, under promise, over achieve. All along I knew I was going to do 12 homes, but I said, we like to look at 8 to 10, and they're going to give me 12, and I'm like, great, because I planned on 12 anyway. So, but then I let them know that after about, which I think is true, I only show homes for 3 to 4 hours at any given time, unless you're here relocating, and we have to, in 2 days, find a home. And you've never been to Atlanta. Then it's a marathon and we go get lunch and we do all that. But if you live here 3 to 4 hours, that's all I'm showing you. But we will seriously we're going to show everything that's important. But you have to discover why they struggle with the criteria. And I would not go past a preview day. I would do a preview day, but I wouldn't get past that until you've discovered what's truly important and why they struggle.
We'll also do and there are consultations that are out, forms that are out there, it's the buyer consultations that the office gives, but it has, she's there what are the top most 5 important, what is this? And I said to husband and wife or partners, whatever, all right, I want you both to fill one out separately, then we'll come back together or we'll look at them together and see what's important, because while you in one room they're both saying, oh, the walls, I love them white and I like that they have these big doors, all of a sudden the wife's no, I really want separate closets and I want this and I want that, and the husband's no, I'm good with it. It just, you have to narrow it down and be okay, well, you told me this, and and this doesn't have either of those, so we're just gonna take this off the list, or we're gonna do this, and we're gonna take this off the list. I mean,
Yeah, and I would refute, like, if you've got a criteria and then they're asking to see stuff that fits none of the criteria, like, no.
But I mean, yeah, something
Or explore that.
Evaluate.
At least explore that.
Yeah, like, let's talk about why you're now asking for something that meets none of your criteria.
Because they thought, I like cute and quaint and I want a bungalow, and then they walked in and they realized that the closet's this big, and then cute and quaint isn't the criteria anymore.
That's how you nicely say small.
So, and because they thought that the nostalgia of living in cute and quaint was so strong of an emotion, but when they got to the practical mind, they realized that I can't function in that.
But that should take 12 houses.
So that should not take 12 houses.
That should take one.
You know. What else? Real life stuff. Real life stuff. How can we help each other? Yes.
Okay, I got a listing from the expired calls yesterday, a listing appointment. I've never done that before. Help. It's an open situation. Any suggestions, whatever. They were listed for 2 months with Coldwell Banker. They don't think that they want to go with her again. And I, on the phone, before they had told me that I got the appointment, I said, typically it's price or your marketing. Which ones do you feel, yada, yada. And I was really kind of just going down the list, so I didn't do a lot of exploring in their area. Now I have, they are overpriced. And I don't know what she did marketing wise, besides they do have quality photos. So.
Did you ask that question? What did you not like about your last real estate agent or your last real estate experience? What did you like and what did you not like about your last real estate experience?
Yeah, I may have to do that. When I didn't expect them to call me back, and so I was kind of like, I wasn't on my computer anymore and anything like that, so I was just kind of trying to do expired for the first time. So I think I asked typically I think that it's price or the marketing, which do you feel? They're like, well, we don't know, and it's their parents' house, the two sons are managing it, so I don't even think that they're like as crazily involved. So any suggestions would be great.
Here's the beautiful thing, and I'll say my 10 and y'all go. Beautiful thing is, you can actually show yourself as the superstar by calling back.
Okay.
And you call them back and just say, hey, I've been doing a lot of research on this. I really think it's a great area, blah, blah, blah. Say something positive.
Yep.
Sellers do not always want to hear what's wrong with them. No. Nobody wants to always hear
never want to hear that. Yeah.
But I think sometimes after they got expired, they got rejected, and they've already felt like they've been turned down, And so if I come in always about price and this and that and blah, blah, even if it's not expired, I can sometimes come across like too negative. And I'm only telling what's wrong with you instead of what's good with you, because selling is about taking what is there and making it into a positive. That's what a good salesperson does.
Okay.
And it shows the highlights of stuff. So if I always talk about price, this, what it's not about, it's about I'm saying I want to have the right price because I want to be able to draw in the right buyers. And that's what price does. Price is the first offer. Your list price is actually the first offer. And so we're just looking for somebody who's going to come in agreement with that. And that's going to see the value of it. So I would probably call them and say, hey, this is great.
That's a great script.
Thank
your
you.
list price is your first offer. That is
I all the time say prices. Your list price is the first offer actually, because we're offering it to the public for
We're
this,
like that.
for this amount. I have this townhome. I'm offering it to you for $300,000. If you're interested, we would
then write me the offer.
Write me for $300,000. If not, I'll take a look at your counter offer in a sense, or your offer to me. That's what list price is. It's a first offer.
Okay.
To the public. So that being said, I would call back going, you know what? I've done some research. I've really liked this. I want you to know I'm really darn excited to come see this house.
Okay.
But tell me, since I'm still doing my research before I see you on Tuesday, tell me a little bit about your last experience. What did you like about it and what did you not like about your last real estate experience?
Okay.
Let them tell you, because that's how you know what you need to overcome.
Right.
So
or not to.
Yes, exactly. So she goes, well, she never called me. She never did this. She was late dropping off everything. She didn't drop off flyers for 4 days. She didn't do this. She doesn't. That's stuff I've heard. Sometimes it's fine, and then all I've heard is like, well, she didn't call and she dropped off flyers late. And I'm like, darn it, I can get flyers on time.
Right.
Because guess what I'll do? I will say, I'm going to get pictures today. Let's say my photographer is going to give me pictures today. I will tell them, we're not going to list until Friday, which gives me more than enough time. And guess what? I have the flyer made on Tuesday. Hey, by the way, I got the flyer made. Do you want to go to the market tomorrow?
Right.
And then I've already exceeded their expectation. So first thing I would do is call them up and ask them.
Okay.
But start off with a positive. Tell them why you like that house, that neighborhood, that property, why you think it, let them already feel like you have some energy for this. What sellers are looking for is a listing agent that has energy.
Okay.
So, all right, what else? How's we're going to sell for Katie's problem?
Yeah, you know.
I can help.
Do it.
I've called thousands of expireds.
Okay.
And there's buckets that they fall into, and I think that as you start doing it more and more, you can create your own categories, and once you have them written down and you start talking to one, you can point which category they're at.
Oh, I mean, I would help with this specific one.
Oh, that was a specific one.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say, there's no
Well,
other...
this is good where he's going.
Okay.
I agree,
That's what I was
because there's
gonna
some expired people who are just,
Are there, so, with the...
I have one I'm working with right now that
they're just not realistic, they're not great to work with, there's a reason.
So many agents are calling expireds, and most expireds that you call are getting calls from 30 or 40 other agents. So the first thing
Not when the first of the month is a Saturday. That was done intentionally, but keep going.
that's smart. You really want to know if they're still committed to that last agent or not. If they are, it oftentimes can be extraordinarily tough to get your way in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if the other agent's out of the picture, they didn't do a great job, it was family and it didn't work out, the agent moved, there's a bazillion reasons. But if the agent's out of the picture, you really have a chance to get in there. And it could,
This one I feel like I do.
yeah, and it could be, look at what the pictures looked like when it was listed before. Maybe they didn't use professional
No, they do.
charts.
They did. I think that it's overpriced. It was listed at $835. I think it needs to be at $8.
From what I've seen, I'd say that about 85% of the time, it was overpriced, and that's what caused it not
Yeah.
to
All
sell.
right, but here's the, I would say, yeah, right, it probably is overpriced, especially in the 8s. All 8s are overpriced right now, or not all, a lot.
That's
A
funny.
lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all, but a lot are, and that's okay.
Sure.
But what I would actually find out as well is, did the other agent not educate the client enough? Or did they just capture, did you all remember last year, probably around, and actually you can look at the stats. It was August, September, and it's all of a sudden the market went, and silent.
Gone.
It was silent. It was eerie and weird. It wasn't even, if you look at like the charts in a sense, because now if you actually see it, we're like all 2019. But it just felt weird, and it's like going, did it just so happen they got like timing was just bad, like they just hit it on the wrong weekend, kind of a deal, and stuff. And so what I think you will probably do better is if find out again about their last experience, because it may be she talked to them the entire time about price reduction. And is it because they're not willing to listen? Or was she doing the bait and switch, which is a lot of agents do that. They'll say, oh, I'll list you for $850 when they knew all along it should have been $800 because they're going to get the listing and they want to beat them down for the next 3 months. And therefore, they felt betrayed by the bait and switch. They would have listed at $800 from day one, So have that conversation, Ask them, tell me about your life, and a phrase, use this phrase all the time, tell me about it. I'm not trying to lead the conversation. I want them to express, and if they want to use colorful language, I'm okay with it. And if they want to just sit there going, she's a really nice, I just did it, they'll say this, I just wanted someone who's more aggressive. Oh, explain to me, what does aggressive mean? What are you, how do you see aggressive? Because I want to hear what aggressive means, to be truthful. Sometimes they'll say stuff like that.
Okay.
Ask them, I always ask. And honestly, if that person actually came to me as a referral and they had bought and sold with somebody else in the past and now they came to me as stuff, I always ask them about their last experience.
Sure.
If I wasn't a part of it, I asked them about their last experience.
Okay.
And I would use that word experience, not your last agent.
Correct.
Because you're not trying to trash the other agent.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're wanting only about the experience.
And or it might not have been the agent, it might have been something else in the transaction.
It could have been.
Okay.
It could have been.
Okay.
You have no idea.
Professional and not trash the other person.
She let it go,
Yeah, for 2 months it just.
But it was only a 60-day listing?
That's what it says online.
Why was the listing
Well,
only 60
maybe this
days?
person's a
That's
real
interesting.
pain in the rear and they only want to use somebody every 30 days, a different person. You just need to dig, tell me about your last experience.
Okay.
That is a short listing.
That's
what I mean.
that price
Strange. That's strange.
I
would want to know why.
So it's like a newer construction street where there's one active at like 750 or 745, one is sold at $1 million and one is sold at $9. I mean, they're just all over the place. in like a $200,000 window.
Offered to do a pre-listing.
They did an appraisal.
They did.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
those aren't good when you're in high price point
Right.
neighborhoods, because you'll always get higher
Because
appraisals.
it appraised at like
Right,
$850.
Lisa? Sometimes it can be.
Yeah.
Scott is used.
Because when you get into
Murphy's.
people's, yeah.
Scott's
That's like
DS Murphy?
tight.
Mm-hmm.
He's tight.
That's what I've used before.
I-
Yeah, they've
I
done
tell
the
you, I've
appraisal.
had-
And I was like, that doesn't mean that people are gonna pay that much for it. It means that they'll give the bank the approval to go through
Correct.
with it.
What
So-
something's worth, especially in a market, in a price point that's slowing down, what it's worth and what the market's paid for can be two different things.
When I
And it-
found that at least in that elementary school, that street is significantly higher than the others that are about that age. So,
Mhm. Anybody else have some real life stuff going on for us to help you?
We have an inspector that kicked the condensation line on an AC unit and flooded the basement. And is not taking any kind of responsibility for it. We're the sellers. Now having to go through our insurance.
so okay, and then how do you know that was
He's the
what
only
happened?
person who has been in there since the person before, and at that point, we knew that there was nothing there, and he did not mention any type of water or anything in the basement or anything.
Okay, so between when the
It was
inspector
HVAC.
last
But you
went.
just feel it could have
Devil's
happened.
advocate, that it is a super random, but this week, my condensation pump flooded, like, somehow popped out of the condensation pump in my furnace, and got water all over the floor, and nobody was down here in the furnace.
Just because we're running it so hard right now because it's
He
so hot
had to
out.
be near it because the electrical panel's behind the furnace.
Mm-hmm.
He had to go past it to get it, and there's maybe from Michael to here amount of space to get through between the furnace and the thing. So he had to,
And so it was leaking the next day.
yeah, there wasn't water. He would have mentioned that there was water on the floor in his inspection report.
So
Sure, there was
we're not
something.
trying to ask who the inspector is or inspection company, but is this something you use routinely or not? Or no, you're the seller.
sellers.
Okay, how about the buyers?
No, it is not.
Finish basically?
They would not use the buyer's agent's recommendations.
Is this anybody with a bigger reputation that needs to worry about it?
Because usually they finish one at least.
It's finished. We've already started remediation. We're already at about $4,000.
So you said flooded the basement, it like ruined a lot.
I mean, like,
You're going
flooded
to
the
$4
carpet,
$4,000.
Like Andrew Dennis's basement flooding the
This
basement?
isn't like, okay, the
I
box
don't
of
know
like,
how
this
the
was
Christmas
like
ornaments got
all
destroyed.
No.
That's terrible.
It's the carpeting, that's terrible.
It's vacant, question mark?
Mm-hmm. Found growth.
Yeah.
No, I have nothing to say.
How many days did it? Did the
About
water
10.
pump into the basement?
Somewhere about 7 to 10.
In a super hot
Mhm.
season. But he's claiming since no one was in the house from 7 to 10 days.
But we have, I mean, we have
His
lock
foot
boxes.
never
There's nobody that's been there since he's
Right.
been there until I got in there
Right.
and found it. I know, right? I'm talking to the seller. I'm like, we have an issue. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you need. She's like, I'm on my way. I'm like, there's water in the basement. I must have lost her mind.
Yeah. It's unfortunate because, certainly for a seller, but even, I think for all home inspectors, things happen, and if you, like.
But not even taking. He's like, there's no way that could have been. Like, not even like taking.
Because usually if they have, they
Well, he's insured,
At least-
licensed and insured.
so, but they return the money of the inspection at least. Even
He
if it's
is
$4.
after
had that
much
happen.
bitching and moaning. That's $500, and
Yep.
and I mean, yes, but
That still doesn't give the 500 to your seller.
no, and it's been.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's been
Yeah,
hard.
right.
You went through all this, and
And
it's
hopefully it's
been,
my
you know, it's not the first conversation. Like we've gone back and forth. It wasn't like he just gave it up the first
Okay,
time.
so here's a good question then, because we've had stuff like this happen. And it's time consuming for you. It drains you emotionally, time, everything else. So, like, you're obviously doing this for your seller, and is the contract still together? The buyer and the seller? Or did
For right now.
right now? All right, see ya. Hey, you've left your sweater. Oh, I'll be back. Okay. Okay, we all have had this. This is actually going back to managing your calendar, managing client expectations. Like, how do you not let something like that, now you have to attend to it, especially the day it happens and pretty quickly, you have to attend. How do you let that not be all consuming to you and your business when you still need to lead generate, move on with other clients? I mean, it's been
This is
pretty
the first time I've
consuming.
ever dealt with this, something like this before.
Okay. Because it's been pretty consuming. I'm going to say it's probably been pretty
It's
consuming.
been consuming. This is the
Emotionally,
first time I've
mentally?
ever. Well, I've had other crap going on. Like personally, so yes. On top of that, yes. But
Yes.
this is the first time I've ever had to deal with anything like this before.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, I don't know how much more. If he refuses to accept responsibility,
I mean, it sucks that it goes to the homeowner's insurance.
and it goes on the
And the insurance company's gonna go after him, that's fine.
Then
And they'll get their money back, but-
if you're gonna try to subrogate and go against him, then you know what, you guys are out of it. You gotta let the
Yeah,
insurance
so here's the
company
thing, is
take
like,
over at this point.
you do have to be there for your client, that's
Right.
why you're there.
Right.
You know, and you do want to see this get resolved in a nice manner, but then it's like there's always that fine dance of like how involved you get to make sure that that is facilitated well, to like it's not like it's, you have to move on too. Is that fine? There's a very fine dance with that.
I think you've kind of reached that point. I'm really sorry this happened. I'm really sorry the home inspector is not owning up to his thing. Your insurance company is now going to take care of
Thank
this.
God for that.
Yeah,
I'm
now,
so sorry
now
this
things
is
like,
hard.
yeah.
I'm so sorry this is hard and stressful. Let's figure out how to keep moving forward so that you will no longer have to own this home and the stress. So, because hopefully her deductible isn't horrible.
I don't know, but it raises your premium too.
No, well, because she doesn't own the house.
But she owns the house now, until it sells, or if it
But
doesn't
but
sell,
is
then.
it
For like a month.
Is it?
She's already paid.
Your rate
We're on
doesn't
hold
go
at
up.
the moment.
Your rate doesn't go up until.
We're on hold at the moment.
Till you
It
renew.
may not be going through,
Why?
for a whole multitude of reasons, but
I mean, if the house sells, then.
if the house sells, so
Then
be it,
none of
fine,
it,
done,
then it's
but-
all okay. And that's what I would focus on. Let's try to work.
Here's another big question is how's that client's relationship with you? How's the relationship between you and your client?
Fine.
Okay, there.
That's what matters.
That's what's matter.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you show so much empathy. Obviously, it's horrible. Like no one wants to deal with that. You know, it's just in the meantime you feel bad.
Yeah,
stressful.
oh yeah, totally feel bad.
Yeah. So, all right. Y'all, anything else? You know, good. Thank you for coming on a very busy
There's
night.
nothing new. I didn't want to be the one walking.
No, glad you
I mean,
did.
I guess I'm glad I found it and she didn't find it.
Helpful,
but-
not helpful? Helpful.
No, very helpful.
Good.
So what calendar system do you use?
I tell you what, I put everything on Gmail. I do write down a lot of stuff. That's more of my, I'm gonna call it my 80% stuff. And then, it's like, we manage everything through Gmail.
Yeah.
But you don't have a handwritten.
I write things down. Like I feel like I do better when I sit there and I think going, okay, I need to call this person, I need to call that person. I actually have it all written down. And that's I work out that task list. But in terms of like, where do I type it in is like today. Today actually starts at like 11:30. Actually starts earlier than that, but 11:30 for this class for me. And then I know I go till 2, and it's almost 2. Even though we get at 1:30,
Sure.
I know I'm going to 2.
Yeah.
So, but that's on my calendar where it's blocked out in Gmail. Or Google Calendars, I should say.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody have a real strong opinion for July on topics? Because I have some ideas. And
This
then-
one, like,
I think
this
multiple
was-
offers would be a good one.
Yeah, you can see like I have another
And or reducing pricing.
But if it had been, he was in there 2 days
Reducing
before,
pricing?
even 2 days for
Pricing would be
created
good.
water needs.
What are your
That would
ideas?
help with the business.
I'm sorry?
What are your ideas?
I was actually going to talk on consultations.
Yes.
I was going to talk, thinking about like, go through like consultations, both sellers and buyers. I was actually
I
thinking.
love that.
We're going to talk about consultations?
Totally.
Okay.
You got my.
It's winter.
Maybe.
And I'm like, we had it on somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
It was like, but it just literally that was it Saturday. Like,
if it wasn't for the location and all the other things around it,
right.
we wouldn't have bought that. But like, you had to literally go like this and suck in and gone past.